Stop worrying, God's with you. You've been stressing, losing sleep, doubting yourself, trying to control everything around you, trying to predict the outcome before the game even starts. You walk around with weight on your shoulders that doesn't even belong to you. But let me ask you something. If you really believed God's with you, what would you be afraid of? You wouldn't fold under pressure. You wouldn't panic when the plan shifts. You wouldn't flinch when life hits back, because you'd know, deep down, that nothing you're facing is bigger than the one walking beside you. Champions don't wait for perfect conditions. They trust the process, and faith is the foundation of that process. When I stepped on the court, I didn't doubt my skills. Why? Because I knew what I'd prepared for. Now imagine if you lived life that way, not in fear, but in faithful fire. Not because you had all the answers, but because you knew who had your back. God isn't asking you to have it all figured out. He's asking you to believe even when it doesn't make sense, to walk when the path is dark, to play through the pain, to show up with heart even when the scoreboard looks ugly, because the story isn't finished yet. You're not behind. You're in the middle of becoming something greater. Every setback, a setup, every delay, a divine decision. You've been looking at the clock, thinking time's running out. But God's not in a rush. He's building endurance in you. Worry is just wasted energy. Faith is focused energy. I've been in the gym at 3 a.m. while the world slept. I wasn't there because of fear. I was there because I believed something bigger was on the other side of sweat. That's how God works. He doesn't show you the finish line. He shows you your next step and your job. Lace up, get up, show up, let Him lead, let Him elevate. You don't need more money. You don't need more followers. You need more belief, more stillness, more moments of silence where you remind yourself, I am chosen. I am protected. I am backed by something greater than me. So stop worrying, stop playing small, stop letting fear narrate your story. You weren't born to live anxious. You were born to walk in anointing. You're not chasing favor. You're walking in it. Every moment, every breath, every move is already covered. Now, step into that room with your head high. Face that challenge with fire in your eyes, and tell every obstacle, every doubt, every fear, God's with me, so I can't lose. Faith isn't weakness. It's power in disguise. You ever feel like people look at your faith and think it's soft? Like believing in something bigger than yourself is somehow a sign that you're not strong enough on your own. Let them think that. Let them judge what they can't understand, because real ones know. Faith isn't a crutch, it's fuel. It's the fire that keeps burning when the body's tired and the mind says quit. It's the reason you get up when you've been knocked down harder than ever before, because you know something greater is calling you forward. Not ego, not fear, purpose. Faith doesn't scream. It doesn't always look flashy, but it shows up when the lights are off and nobody's watching. It pushes you to practice when there's no reward in sight. It drives you to sacrifice, to lock in, to trust the grind even when the results are silent. That's power most people don't recognize, because they've never tasted it. The world's full of loud voices. People flexing muscles, chasing applause, throwing numbers, but faith is patient. Faith doesn't need validation. It already knows the outcome is handled. You don't need to bark when you know you're backed by something unshakable. That's what makes it power in disguise. It's the quietest thing in the room, but it commands the most. You can't coach faith. You build it. You earn it through the trials, the delays, the disappointments, every door that slammed in your face, every friend that turned fake, every time you failed and stood back up. That's where faith turned into power, because you didn't quit. You believed. Weakness is giving into fear. Weakness is quitting on yourself. Faith ain't weakness. It's war, Eddie. It's locked in. It doesn't flinch at adversity. It welcomes it. Because every trial is just another rep, another set, another way to grow stronger. Faith ain't built in comfort, it's built in the fire. People want power without the pressure. They want strength without the struggle. But faith knows the truth. Pressure makes diamonds, and power without character is just noise. Faith refines you. It keeps your ego in check and your mission clear. It's the anchor in storms and the fire in silence. You don't have to prove your faith with words. Prove it with consistency. Prove it with discipline. Prove it with how you carry yourself when life punches you in the throat. Because when you stand tall with faith, people feel it, even if they don't understand it. They feel that presence, that calm, that locked in focus. That's the power they can't measure. Faith makes you dangerous because you're not shaken by loss. You're not dependent on applause. You're not addicted to comfort. You're not waiting for permission. You're already moving, already trusting, already fighting. And that scares the ones who only know how to chase what they can see. It's easy to believe when the path is clear, but what about when it's dark? When the lights go out, do you still walk? Do you still train like it's game day? Do you still prepare like you know victory is coming? Because that's the test. That's when faith turns into a weapon. You weren't made to fold. You weren't built to break. You were shaped by something deeper. You've survived too much to doubt yourself now. You've bled, cried, failed, lost, and you're still here. That's not weakness. That's divine strength. Faith gives you vision when the world only sees the now. It gives you resilience when logic says give up. It turns setbacks into fuel and fear into fire. You don't need the world to get it. You don't need their approval. Just stay locked in. Because your faith is your power. Undeniable, unshakable, unstoppable. God's silence is not absence. It's preparation. You ever been in that season where everything just goes quiet? No signs, no answers, just silence. You're showing up. You're grinding, you're praying, and nothing. Feels like you're putting your heart into the game and nobody's watching. But let me tell you something. That silence, it's not abandonment, it's not rejection, it's not failure, it's preparation, because greatness isn't built in applause, it's forged in the shadows. You want the crown, then be ready for the silence, because that's where champions are made, not in the spotlight, but in the sweat, not in the comfort, but in the confusion, not in the cheer, but in the challenge. You think silence means you're losing. No, it means you're being sharpened. See, the world thinks silence is a void, but the ones who have been through it, they know better. They know silence is a signal that it's time to grow roots, to get grounded, to stop relying on validation and start building foundation. Because when the noise disappears, you finally hear yourself. You hear your doubts, your fears, your insecurities, and that's where the real work starts. That's where you dig deep. That's where you start strengthening the parts nobody sees. You want to lead, then be okay with being led through silence. You want to rise, then learn to trust when you can't trace. Silence isn't the end, it's the weight room before the season. It's the 4 a.m. reps when no one's there to post it. It's the grind that doesn't make the highlight reel. Preparation looks like isolation. It looks like getting passed over. It looks like losing the spotlight. But that's just ego being stripped away, because when the time comes and the doors open, you'll walk through ready, not rusty. Silence teaches patience. Builds resilience. It humbles you, because when you've trained in silence, you don't need the crowd to bring the energy. You are the energy. You don't need hype. You've got hunger, and that silence you hate. It's keeping you from being premature. You think you're ready now, but God's saying, not yet, and not because He's punishing you, but because He's protecting the version of you that's still maturing. You don't want to arrive at your moment and not be ready. You want to dominate when it comes. So take the silence personally, not as rejection, but as responsibility. Use it. Push through it. Train under it. Let it shape your mind like steel, because when you come out of it, you won't be the same. People will ask where you came from. They won't see the nights you cried, the mornings you wanted to quit, the prayers that felt unanswered, but you'll know. You'll know every scar was training, every delay was development. God's silence doesn't mean he left. It means he's preparing the table, and you better show up hungry, because when he says it's time, there won't be time to catch up. You either stayed ready, or you got left behind, so stop doubting in the dark what you were promised in the light. When the pressure's on, trust his plan. Not your panic pressure isn't the enemy. It's the test. It's the moment that separates the ones who are pretending from the ones who are preparing. And when pressure hits, you've got two choices, panic or trust. One sends you spiraling, the other makes you unstoppable, because panic screams chaos. But trust speaks with confidence, even when nothing makes sense. You ever notice how pressure has a voice? It tells you you're not ready. It reminds you of every mistake. It tries to shake your confidence, distort your focus, mess with your breathing, and the moment you start listening to it, you fold, you freeze, you second, guess, and that's exactly what the enemy wants. But trust, real trust, flips the script. It says, yeah, I see the storm, but I know who's guiding the ship. It says, I feel the weight, but I've trained for this. You don't get flustered when you know the plan is bigger than the pressure. You don't tap out when you know your steps were ordered, because trust doesn't rely on sight. It relies on faith in the unseen. Panic is emotional. Trust is strategic. Panic makes you react. Trust lets you respond. Panic pulls you out of the moment. Trust locks you into it. You can't win if you're panicking in the middle of the fourth quarter. You stay calm, you stay focused, you follow the plan. Most people trust the process until it gets painful. They trust the path until it gets dark, but real warriors, they trust through the tears. They move even when the map is blurry, because they understand pressure doesn't break them. It builds them, and trust keeps them from collapsing. See, when the pressure's on, the mind starts racing. What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not enough? What if I fail? But those thoughts aren't truth. They're panic talking. You've got to silence them. You've got to grab hold of something stronger, and that's the plan. The divine, unshakable, unbreakable plan that's bigger than you. You weren't brought this far just to fold now. Every fight you faced was preparing you for this moment. Every door that closed was redirecting you, not rejecting you. You think pressure came to destroy you. No, it came to reveal you, to bring out what's been buried under doubt. And trust is what unleashes it. People say pressure makes diamonds, but that's only true if you can't handle the heat. If you trust the process while the fire surrounds you. Anybody can believe in the light. But can you trust when it's pitch black? Can you execute when your heart's pounding and your palms are sweating? Can you stay calm when the world expects you to crack? That's where greatness is born. You don't rise under pressure by accident. You rise because you've learned to tune out panic and lean into preparation. You don't need to force it. You don't need to fake it. You just need to focus and trust that every moment, every play, every move is leading somewhere powerful. Even if you can't see it yet, trust rewrites fear. It flips anxiety into anticipation. It says, this pressure, I'm built for it. It says, this moment. It's not too big for me, not because you've got it all figured out, but because you know the one who does, and that trust gives you composure when everything else says panic. You've been in this game long enough to know. Pressure doesn't mean you're off track. It usually means you're close. Close to the breakthrough, close to the next level, close to the reward you prayed for, but you'll only taste it if you don't let panic steal the moment. Breathe, lock in, trust, execute. You don't need to see the whole playbook. You just need to follow the next instruction. You don't need to feel ready. You need to be willing to walk forward when your legs are shaking. willing to show up when fear tells you to hide, willing to trust the process when panic tries to make it personal. That's how you win under pressure. Because when the pressure's on, you can't afford to hesitate. You can't afford to fold, and you definitely can't afford to listen to panic. You've come too far. You've sacrificed too much. You've been built for this. So step in, rise up, and trust that this pressure, it's just the beginning. You're not alone in the fight. Never were. There are moments when the world feels heavy, when you're surrounded by people but still feel like nobody sees you, when the pressure builds and the silence screams louder than the crowd, when it feels like every step forward comes with 10 reasons to quit, and the thought creeps in, I'm on my own. That's a lie. It's fear talking, it's exhaustion whispering in your ear, because the truth is, you've never been alone. Every step you took, someone was walking with you, even in the moments when you felt invisible, even in the moments when the world turned its back, even when your voice trembled and your confidence cracked, there was strength holding you up. You didn't make it this far by accident. You were carried when your legs gave out. You were covered when you didn't even know it. Fighters don't just rise from within. They rise from the unseen support that surrounds them. You've got favor following you. You've got grace fighting battles you never even saw. You've got protection that blocked things you didn't even know were coming. That's not luck. That's presence. That's divine backup moving with precision. Don't let loneliness convince you you're weak. Don't confuse isolation with abandonment. Sometimes you're set apart so you can be elevated. Sometimes the crowd disappears so you stop depending on it. Sometimes you're pushed to the edge so you learn who really stands with you. And every time you thought you were done, you were lifted by something greater. You were never built to carry this alone, that weight on your chest. You were never meant to shoulder it by yourself. You're a fighter, yes, but you've got a team behind the scenes. You've got power you didn't create, and it's been working for you all along, even when you broke down. You were held up, even when you made the wrong turn. You were redirected, even when the enemy tried to bury you. You were resurrected. You don't need the crowd's approval to know you're chosen. You don't need the world's applause to know you've got a calling. The fact that you're still standing, that's proof. You think your strength is just from training and talent. It's bigger than that. You've got unseen hands pulling you through, doors opened that you didn't even knock on. Opportunities came when you were on the brink of quitting. That's not coincidence. That's coverage. When you fight, you're not swinging alone. Every jab, every block, every step forward, you've got backup. You've got legacy in your blood. You've got destiny written in your DNA, and you've got purpose that pulls you through pain. So when life pushes, you push back, not in fear, but in confidence, because you know who's in your corner. You ever watch a team that trusts each other? They move different. They don't second guess. They know someone's got their back. That's how you need to walk through life. Not paranoid, not hesitant, but confident. Because you're covered. This fight you're in, it's not just about you. It's about what's coming through you. Your fight is making a way for someone else. Your resilience is planting seeds in the people watching you. You're inspiring people in silence, just by surviving, just by showing up. That's impact. So next time the pressure hits, remember this. You're not alone. You never were. You've got presence surrounding you, guiding you, lifting you, even in the dark, even in the chaos, even in the breakdown. You are backed by a force that doesn't flinch. Your pain is not your identity. It's part of your preparation. Your silence doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It means you're being fortified. You've been chosen, not forsaken, called, not crushed, held, not abandoned. And when you step into that fight, you don't step alone. You step with power, because you were never meant to do this by yourself. Storms reveal strength. Worry only hides it. You can train all day in the sun, but you don't know what you're made of until the sky cracks open. Anybody can perform when things go right. Anybody can smile when the scoreboard's up. But what about when it rains? What about when the pressure hits so hard it knocks the breath out of your lungs? That's when the real ones show up. That's when strength stops being a theory and starts becoming your identity. Storms don't come to ruin you. They come to reveal you. You think you're strong because you haven't been hit. But strength isn't proven in peace, it's revealed in pain. And when the storm rolls in, it doesn't care about your plans, it doesn't care about your comfort. It comes to shake everything unstable, everything weak, everything fake. Only what's solid remains. So if you're in the middle of chaos right now, don't fold. Focus. This is your test. This is your gym. This is where muscles of the mind, heart, and soul get forged. Worry is the enemy's tactic. It clouds your vision. It makes you doubt what you've already built. It hides your power behind panic, and you've got to cut through it. Worry never made you stronger. It never added energy to your grind. It never pushed you forward. It only distracts, weakens, and deceives. It says, "What if you fail?" But strength says, "Even if I fall, I rise again." Worry keeps you stuck. Strength keeps you standing. You've been in storms before. You've weathered nights that felt endless. You've walked through heartbreak, setbacks, betrayal, and guess what? You're still standing. That's strength. That's something storms can't steal. They can only reveal. The people around you might doubt you. They might think you're crumbling, but you know better, because storms don't break you. They build your grit. Every hit you take makes you sharper. Every drop of rain fuels your focus. You don't run from storms, you walk through them with your head high. You ever seen a champion who never had to fight? Me neither. The fight builds the fire. The pain creates the power. It's not the easy days that shape legends. It's the hard ones, the ugly ones, the ones nobody claps for, the ones where you show up. Anyway, don't waste energy worrying about what you can't control. Focus on what you can, your mindset, your response, your preparation, your heart. Storms might shake your world, but they can't touch your will unless you hand it over, and you never will. You want to know how unbreakable you are. Step into the storm, stop avoiding it, let it come, because when it passes, and it will pass, you'll see what's left standing. You'll see yourself, and you'll know this strength wasn't built in comfort. It was earned in chaos. Worry tells you it's safer to wait it out, to pause, to hesitate. But warriors don't wait for clear skies. They perform in the storm, they lock in, they adapt, and they keep moving like the rain isn't even there. You've already been through too much to go back to worry. You didn't come this far to fold now. You're forged in resistance. You're conditioned by challenge. You've taken hits and kept swinging. You've lost things that were supposed to break you, and still stood. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need purpose. Storms don't scare people who know who they are. They might rattle your environment, but they don't shake your identity. You're not weak. You're not behind. You're not drowning. You're rising. You're discovering parts of yourself that only pressure can introduce you to. So stop hiding behind worry. Stop playing small to avoid the waves. Lean into them. Let them test you. Because when it's all said and done, it won't be the storm that's remembered. It'll be the strength that stood tall through it, unshaken, unbreakable. Real confidence comes from surrender, not control. Confidence isn't noise. It's not shouting louder than your fear. It's not forcing things to happen. It's not gripping so tight you forget how to breathe. Confidence is peace. It's calm in chaos. It's presence when everything says panic. And the only way you get there is surrender. We're taught to control everything, every outcome, every detail, every step. But control is an illusion. You can plan every move and still get blindsided. You can hold the steering wheel and still hit traffic. You can do everything right and still fall. That's why real confidence doesn't come from control. It comes from release. It comes from understanding that you don't need to know every answer to move forward. You just need to trust the one who already mapped it out. That's when you stop overthinking. That's when you stop hesitating. You stop performing for approval and start walking with assurance. That's confidence that can't be shaken. The world will tell you to be loud, to dominate, to control. But the quiet ones, the ones who walk in surrender, they move different. They don't flinch. They don't beg for validation because they know they're backed by something greater, and they don't have to fake strength. They live in it. Surrender doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're giving over the pressure, giving over the outcome. Letting go of the illusion that you're in charge of everything. You're not, and once you accept that, you move freer, think clearer, and execute sharper. You ever seen someone in flow state, not forcing it, just being? That's what surrender unlocks. That's what happens when you stop trying to predict the future and just own the present. You stop fearing the unknown because you trust the unseen. That's how confidence grows. Not from gripping tighter, but from letting go. Letting go of what? Fear, control, the need to prove yourself, the pressure to be perfect. When you surrender that, you make room for focus, you clear the mental noise, and you start moving like you were born for this. You want to perform at the highest level. You need clarity, and clarity doesn't come when you're scrambling to control everything. It comes when you trust that what's meant for you won't miss. You put in the work, you prepare like a beast, and then you surrender the outcome. Because you know you're already chosen. You ever seen a storm? It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't control where the wind blows. It just moves. That's you when you're in surrender. Moving with power, not panic. Flowing, not forcing. Confidence built on control is fragile. One bad day and you crack. One loss and you doubt everything. But confidence built on surrender, it's anchored. It doesn't shake when the stats are down. It doesn't shift when the noise gets loud. It stays locked. Because when you surrender, you understand something deep. You're not alone in this. You were never meant to carry it all. You were never expected to have it all figured out. You just needed to trust and move anyway. And that's what makes you dangerous. You're not playing for approval. You're playing from purpose. So breathe, let go. Stop trying to muscle your way through the process. You've already got what it takes. Now surrender to the mission. Lean into the discomfort and walk like the outcome's already handled. Because it is. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. You just need to be who you were built to be. Every step, every trial, every win, and every loss has shaped you for this moment. Now step into it with confidence. Not from control, but from surrender. Because what's for you can't be taken, and what's ahead can't be stopped. If God's with you, you're already favored to win. Don't step into the fight hoping you win. You walk in knowing the outcome's already tilted in your favor, not because it's easy, not because you're the most talented, but because who's backing you is greater than anything against you. That's not arrogance, it's assurance. You're not walking alone. You're walking covered. Favor doesn't always look like fame. It doesn't always look like ease or applause. Sometimes favor shows up in the form of resistance. Because resistance reveals who's for you. Favor shows up in the doors that open and the ones that close. In the battles you didn't ask, but were built to overcome. If God's with you, even the setbacks serve a purpose. You ever notice how the biggest storms hit right before the breakthrough? That's not coincidence. That's opposition reacting to your favor. The enemy doesn't attack what isn't a threat. So when life starts hitting harder, don't shrink, stand taller, because your favor is making noise in places you can't see. You're not favored because you're perfect. You're favored because you're chosen, flawed but focused, tired but still showing up, doubted, but still dangerous, because God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called, and if He called you, He's covering you. You walk into every room like you belong, because you do, not because of credentials, but because of calling. You don't chase opportunities, you attract them by staying aligned. You don't need to beg for the table. You're already carrying something too valuable to be ignored. Favor finds you when you keep walking with purpose, even when nobody's watching. You ever seen favor on someone? It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's undeniable. It's the reason why doors open that don't make sense. It's why you survive what should have destroyed you. It's why you rise after falling. Again and again, winning doesn't always show up on the scoreboard first. Sometimes the win is in the grit, in the consistency, in the way you kept moving through the fire, the way you never folded under pressure, the way you carried purpose when all you had was faith. That's what favor produces. Warriors with vision, you're already favored. That means the outcome's not up to them. It's between you and the one who called you. That means you can lose rounds and still win the fight. It means you can be underestimated, overlooked, misunderstood, and still rise, because favor doesn't need agreement. It just needs alignment, and once you're aligned, the path opens. No matter how blocked it looks, people will try to measure your journey by what they see, but they don't know what's backing you. They don't know about the prayers that kept you from quitting, the grace that covered your mistakes, the strength that showed up when you had nothing left. They only see results. They don't see the reason behind the resilience. So walk like it's already done. Speak like it's already settled. Train like the victory is guaranteed, because it is. Not because of luck, not because of talent, but because you're favored. The path won't be perfect, but the outcome is promised. That's what favor means. It doesn't eliminate the battle. It ensures the victory. You'll still have to fight. You'll still bleed, sweat, and sacrifice. But when it's all said and done, you win, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. Because every giant that rises is already marked to fall. Every mountain is meant to be moved, and every storm is meant to pass. When you walk with favor, you walk with fire, and the world feels it. Whether they acknowledge it or not, so stand tall, keep pushing, stop worrying about how it looks. Lock in on where it's going. You're not here to impress. You're here to impact. You're not trying to fit in. You're built to stand out. You're not just playing the game, you're changing it. Because when God's with you, you're not just in it. You're built to win it. You were never meant to break. You were built to rise everything you've been through. Every setback, every sleepless night, every door that slammed in your face. It wasn't to destroy you. It was to develop you, because pain doesn't come to steal. Greatness, it comes to reveal it, and the fact that you're still standing right now, that says everything. You're not here by chance. You're not walking blindly. You are walking with purpose and power and presence, whether the world sees it yet or not. When the world told you to panic, you chose to trust. When the pressure hit, you didn't fold. You focused. When silence screamed, you listened deeper. When the storm came, you didn't run. You rose, because deep down you knew God was with you, and that alone made you dangerous. You stopped chasing validation because you started walking in vision. You stopped worrying because you realized the outcome was never in your hands. It was in His. You stopped trying to control the game because you realized you've already been favored to win it. People may have counted you out, but they didn't know the calling on your name. They didn't feel the weight of what's inside you. They didn't hear the voice that told you to keep going. And they sure didn't know about the grace that's been carrying you the whole way. Let them watch. Let them doubt. Because they're about to witness something undeniable. You've walked through storms that should have buried you, but you learned how to walk on water. You've faced silence that should have crushed your spirit, but you found strength in the stillness. You've taken hits that would have broken lesser people, but you didn't break. You refused to bow. You refused to break. You refused to quit. And now, you're not hoping for victory, You're walking in it, because if God's with you, you've already won, not later, not someday, now. Every step forward is a statement. Every breath is a reminder you're chosen, you're covered, and you're coming for everything that was already yours. So stop looking back. Stop doubting. Stop apologizing for your fire. Start walking like the ground's already been cleared. Start living like the battle's already been won. Because it has. You are the storm. You are the proof. You are the one. And when it's all said and done, they won't just remember what you did. They'll remember what you overcame and why you could never be stopped.